Go back now to the French embassy in Tel Aviv, where our correspondent Ron Friedman is standing by. Ron, what reactions are coming in? What reactions are there on the street?
All right, so we've been here in front of the embassy in Tel Aviv. We're right on the boardwalk where it's a beautiful day, and the beach is full of tourists, of residents, among them many French tourists. The people we've spoken to, all of them are in shock, talking about how enough is enough already. You know, after a series of attacks in France, across Europe, also here in Israel, people are saying enough, it has to be stopped. But day-to-day life here in Tel Aviv goes on as normal. As you can see, the embassy behind me, always secure. Today, a bit more security in the form of a police car behind me. If we ask our cameraman to pan up a bit, you can see that the flag on the roof of the embassy is lowered to half-mast. Of course, that's out of respect to the people who were killed in yesterday's attack. Throughout the day, reactions have been coming in from Israeli politicians. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu expressed his condolences in a statement to the French people and the French government, pledging continued cooperation in the war, fighting against terror, vowing to aid in any way possible. Similar things from President Rivlin, saying that the perpetrators and their backers should be chased down and brought to justice. We've also been hearing statements from opposition members, other ministers, everybody both expressing condolences and pledging cooperation with the French authorities.
And Ron, you showed us now with the cameraman the flag at half-mast. Just yesterday, the building was lit in the tricolor in the celebration before the devastating attack took place. The ambassador, the French ambassador, was in Tel Aviv yesterday, and I'm wondering if you'll be able to receive a reaction from him today. But as far as floral tributes, as you mentioned, are we seeing anything, any sort of solidarity being shown from Israeli society outside the embassy?
Not outside the embassy as of yet, but it's still early hours here, and this isn't necessarily the go-to place for those types of expressions. We know that later on today there's going to be a solidarity march out of the French Jewish community in Netanya, a coastal town about half an hour north of here, where many French immigrants live. And there's going to be a procession there, solidarity rally. Hopefully we'll be able to bring you pictures from there later on today.
Ron Friedman, I want to thank you at this point. Well, of course, we will be back with you later on in the day. And I do want to take our viewers back to the footage, the live footage from Nice the day after, as we can see empty streets, heightened security, heightened alert. And we can see actually a group of people, so it seems like they've cut off the area and made it sterile. This is most likely the very spot where the truck rammed through the crowds yesterday. And back in studio are
the French president, as well as the prime minister and his interior minister, also visited the area this morning.
Mohamed Al-Qasim, thank you. So many officials visiting this area already this morning, and I'd like to again weigh in with you. We spoke earlier about the timing being right after the holy month of Ramadan, where certain extremist leaders did call for lone wolf attacks. Do you think this attack could be one of these, a result of one of these extremist callings?
It could be. Again, we don't know exactly the motives behind the attackers or the assailant and why he committed this crime. However, let's just go back and say that there has been calls by the Islamic State leadership in both Syria and Iraq for all its members and sympathizers, for any sleeping cell that's present in either Europe, in the United States, or anywhere around the world, to go ahead and take action and commit and do all these terrorist attacks. We have seen that develop in the United States once or twice before in the last few months, but we've seen it more on a larger scale in the Middle East. We've seen it in Saudi Arabia, we've seen it in Lebanon, we've seen it in Jordan, and we've seen it also in Turkey just a few weeks ago at the Istanbul International Airport. Now we see it more in Europe, and it's back to France. Now, what are the motives behind this? We will know more as the identity as well as the motives behind the attackers.
Once there's a claim of responsibility,
exactly.
Of course. Mohamed Al-Qassem, I do want to thank you at this point, and we're going to get now some European reactions. We're going to go to our London correspondent, Jonathan Satradati. Jonathan, thank you for joining us. Prime Minister Theresa May spoke earlier. This is maybe a test of leadership very soon after she took on the role of Prime Minister.
That's right. The news here has moved on from all that discussion of the new cabinet and the new Prime Minister, today being their first real day of work, you could say. Theresa May has been speaking about Britain's reaction to this, as has Boris Johnson. Questions about his suitability to be Foreign Minister seem long behind us now, with his reactions to this particular attack in Nice being key. UK is holding a COBRA emergency meeting. That's the emergency committee that responds to these kind of events today, Theresa May said. And she said that the threat level in the UK is already at severe, and that means a terrorist attack is highly likely. She said that senior officials today will be assessing what more action we need to take, and that we have already been living with a severe threat level for some time now. Meanwhile, Boris Johnson, when he left his home this morning, was asked by journalists for his reaction, and he said that one UK national is believed to have been injured in the attacks, but it's too early to say if there were others caught up in those attacks or killed. And he did confirm that he would be speaking to his French counterpart today.
And indeed, while the attack was not on British soil, we're seeing a lot of reactions and offerings of help. Can you expect increased cooperation with the new administration?
Again, that debate over Brexit and whether Britain should remain in the EU caused a lot of discussion over whether or not intelligence sharing across Europe relies on Britain being part of the EU. For now, Britain still is, and we will see intelligence services around Europe sharing as much information as they can anyway, as they always do in these situations. As that footage of the attacker getting into the lorry has come out, you'll see these intelligence services discussing amongst each other what they know about him, what they might know about those involved in the planning, trying to ascertain whether there are other people out there who still pose a threat. And we've seen borders across Europe being tightened up as well, with Germany saying that they're going to tighten their border at the moment in case of spillover, because in previous attacks, like those in Paris and Brussels, we did see movement of the terrorists between countries, something again which caused a lot of people fear during the run-up to the referendum in the UK.
Jonathan Satradati from London, our correspondent, of course. Thank you for weighing in. And French President Francois Hollande, hours after the attack, spoke and gave a statement saying France would fight terror, extending the 3-month state of emergency. Let's take a listen.
France is afflicted by this new tragedy. It is horrified by what just happened. This monstrosity that consists of using a truck to kill, deliberately kill, dozens of people who were simply there to celebrate July the 14th, Bastille Day. France is mourning. It is afflicted, but it is strong, and it will always be stronger. I have decided that the state of emergency, which should have ended on July 26, will be extended for another 3 months. A bill will be presented to Parliament in the coming week. Nothing will make us yield in our will to fight against terrorism, and we will once again reinforce our activities in Syria and Iraq. And we will continue to strike precisely those who strike us on our own soil, in their hideouts.
And once again, we're going to go to Paris, where our senior political correspondent, Christian Mollard, joins us once again. Mr. Mollard, how is this affecting the French psyche, attack after attack? This is already a discussion that we've had previously. Do you think finally something will change and the French will be willing more than before to change and to let go of some of their ideas and ideals of liberté?
We have to reshuffle our law system as a democracy. This morning, it was interesting to hear President Hollande saying we are determined to fight more and more against this barbaric ISIS in Syria and Iraq. Okay, fine. But what we have to realize that even if ISIS is losing ground in these two countries, and especially in Iraq and also in Syria, they have transferred their battle also on the European soil now. And France is the main target on the European soil, because the more we say we are going to target ISIS more and more, the more ISIS will target us inside the French territory. So the war is inside. We have to make sure that we have more coordination, more cooperation with also the various European intelligence services, which has not been the case really now, and we have not drawn the lesson from it. But once more, I was alluding to the law problem. We have a law which is outdated. We should, a lot of people, public opinion, a lot of politicians on both sides, left wing, right wing, say we need to change this law and allow the services to arrest ahead of any terrorist action of people who are suspected to be terrorists ready to act. If we don't do it, how can you know? We have all these people, and we found after they have got into action, we realized that there was really bad people and that they were linked to ISIS or whatever. I think we are a weak democracy, and when we tell people we have to change the law, they mean it. We have been under this Secretary of Justice, Madame Taubira, who left the government not long time ago, which was so weak and so lenient that we came to this point. So we have to reshuffle the system. We have to readapt it. We need to change things if we want to win this war over ISIS, not only on the ground in Syria and Iraq, but more than ever inside France.
Without bringing me to my next question, who will benefit? Will the far right benefit politically from this attack?
Oh, yes. The far right will benefit from it. Madame Le Pen says this country has been laxist. And unfortunately, she's right. You know, not long time ago, Michal, I talked to one member of the intelligence service who has been on the ground in Niger, Mali, tracking the Islamists. Now he is working in France on the DCRI. And he was telling me, for years and years, we have known where the cells, the Islamist cells are, where they have been hiding the Kalashnikov or different type of weapons. But the various governments, left-wing, right-wing, all the same, told them, please keep down, don't talk, shut up. And this is where we come to today, the laxism. We have been the victim of the laxism of all our various past governments and the one of today.
Christian Malard, thank you once again for joining us. We'll be back with you later in the day, and I want to reintroduce our guests in studio. Thank you for staying with us. Joining us again, Owen Alterman, our foreign affairs correspondent, and Mohammed Al-Qasim, who's stayed with us throughout this hour. More reactions coming in from the Arab world.
That's correct. Qatar and other Gulf countries have also condemned and showed its offered their support to the French government, as well as Jordan and the Palestinian Liberation Organization, as well as President Abbas, who's in Africa at the moment, said that the Palestinian people stand behind the French people, and they condemned the attacks on Paris. Among other countries that earlier condemned and supported the French government were Saudi Arabia and Jordan.
Tell me if I'm mistaken, but I don't remember from previous attacks that the quick portrayal of solidarity from the Arab world came as quick. Is this correct?
Well, yeah, that's extremely correct. And some Arab countries in the past didn't feel the need to condemn these attacks because they say, well, it happens to us all the time, and we don't really ask nor offered any condemnation. But now, because of this criticism, but also because they want to show the world that they are not part of the problem, but they are victims too. As I said earlier, Saudi Arabia, Lebanon, Jordan, Iraq, and other Arab countries have been faced with these attacks. In fact, if we want to talk about Syria, President Bashar al-Assad have said all along that what's happening in Syria for the past 5 years is basically terrorist attacks and terrorist organizations committing these attacks here. And he has warned Europe and other countries of that there will be a spillover. So now we're seeing that the Arab countries and Arab governments trying to look like they are the victims too, and they are. In many countries they are. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. 250 Iraqis civilians out during one night during the holy month of Ramadan. 250 of them, many of them are children and women killed. And the Islamic State did adapt and claim responsibility for the attack. So we are seeing more and more Arab countries voicing publicly their condemnation and the criticism.
Indeed, and these attacks are shifting the focus away from Iran, which just a few days ago we marked 1 year since the agreement. So other world threats seem to be becoming minimized, and even Assad trying to utilize it to his advantage. Oh, and what other reactions are we hearing this hour from world leaders?
Well, we should remember another one, Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu, who issued a statement saying that this shows that terror can strike anywhere and needs to be fought everywhere. So we see the Israeli Prime Minister going back to his core message saying, wait, you look at terrorism in Tel Aviv and you see it as part of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Not true. Terrorism here is the same as terrorism everywhere. This is all part of one entity, of one set of Islamic terrorists. And in the same way that everyone is showing solidarity with France at this moment, they need to show solidarity with Israel. That's the subtext, and Benjamin Netanyahu making that quite clear this morning.
Indeed, and now joining us live from Milan is Mir Habib, a member of the French National Assembly.